Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are going to look at the solution of the challenge that we shared last week. At the beginning, let's have a quick reminder about the challenge itself. In this challenge, we have a table containing two columns. First one is a list of vendors and also the categories that each and every vendor providing for. So in this case, let's look at the first item. We have a company called United Company. The category they are working in is deli. Also, they are working in dairy. So they have two lines, deli and dairy. And then we have allied distributors. They are providing three items or three categories: meat, vegetables, and fish. The requirement is to have a unique list of these vendors. And then we put this unique list as column headers, as you can see. And the column below each and every header will have the list of categories. So United Company have deli and dairy, allied distributors, meat, vegetables, and fish, and so on and so forth. When we have new data, when we add them inside the table, we just refresh the query and everything will be updated automatically. We have the new vendor, AB Sons, with two categories, bakery and cereal. And also we have the allied distributors added a new category, which is basically the fruits. Actually, during the last week, I've received plenty of brilliant ideas. Some of them were a bit longer than what I expected. However, I think it is very normal. When you try a new idea, it sometimes takes you some trial and error until you reach something is working. The solution that I will present now will be very, very short and efficient. It will take you only 3 steps until you reach the solution. Also, if you send me your solution during the week, please wait till the end of the video. You will hear your name at the wall of fame at the end of this video. Let's go directly and look at the solution together. I already sent the table into Power Query, and let's give the query a meaningful name. Let me call it pivot, because we are going to pivot this table. The solution will depend on 2 steps. First step is to just get a unique list of all these vendors, and next to each and every vendor name, we need also a list of all the categories. In the final step, we are going to use a very useful function called Table.FromColumns, and this function will rebuild the table in the order that we want exactly. So let's start by just trying to get a unique list of all vendors, and next to each and every vendor name we'll have a list of the names of the categories, and this can be done through the group by. So while selecting the vendor column, right click and group by. At the beginning, we need to give a name to the new column. Let me call it category. The group by will give us a unique list of all the vendors, and then it will summarize the category column, and the operation will be decided in this step. So the operation can be count because we have text, or we can just use the all rows. The all rows will give us multiple tables in each and every cell, and this table will be nothing but a small version of the big table, but containing only the lines related to each and every vendor. So let's just click on OK. I will have a unique list of the vendors, and next to each and every name of the vendors, I'll have a table. Let's check the first table. As we mentioned, it will be a small version of the big table with only the lines related to the United Company. You can see here United Company Deli and United Company Dairy. Let's check the next one. Same. We have allied distributors with the 3 different categories. Before moving forward, I'm going to check the formula bar and try to understand what happened using the table.group, which is basically the function that used to group the table. At the beginning, we have the name of the function, and then the table, which is basically nothing but the previous step. And also we have the name of the column that will be used for summarization, which is basically the vendor column. And then the name of the new column, in our case it is the category, and then it used each and underscore. Each meaning that you are going to do the same operation for each and every line, and the underscore is nothing but a shorthand for this small table. The underscore here representing in the first line the table for United, in the next line the table for allied distributors, in the third line the name for Cairo Trade. If you think about the structure of the subtable, you'll see that I have the vendor and category, and the vendor information already we have here in the bigger table. So in my case, I need only the category column, and the category column will be nothing but the list of categories. So in order to achieve this, I'm going to edit inside the formula, and just after the underscore, I'm going to add a square bracket, and I'm going to type the name of the column that I need, which is basically the category column. Then I'm going to hit the check mark, And here you go, exactly the same. However, instead of having a table in each and every line, I have now a list in each and every line. You can notice here is the list of categories for vendor United. Here is a list of all categories of the allied distributors, and so on and so forth. Now we are done with the grouping step. Let me just give a shorter name because I'm going to use the same name in the next step. So right click and rename. Let me just remove rows and hit enter. And now we are ready for the next step. Let's give a quick think about the next step. I'm going to use these three lists in order to form my new table or my new structure of the table. So I need the first list to be inside the first column. The next list need to be in the next column. And then finally, the third list will be my third and final column. In order to achieve this, as we mentioned, we're going to use a very simple function called Table.FromColumns. I'm going to do this inside a new step. So I'm going to use the fx, and it will automatically reference the previous step, the grouped step. Just next to the equal sign, I'm going to use my function, which is basically Table.FromColumns. And let me open a bracket in order to see what is exactly required. The only requirement is list of lists. And let's think about this requirement. This requirement is requiring a big list containing smaller lists, and each and every small list will be a column. This is exactly what we have in this column, the category column. I have a column which can be converted easily to a list, and inside this big list I have smaller lists, and each and every list will be a single column inside my new table. So I'm going to add again a square bracket, and I'm going to add the name of the column that I want to reference, which is basically the category column. Let me close the bracket at the end and then hit enter, and here you go, I have the table in the new structure. First list converted into a column, second list is the second column, and the third list is the final column. But the only problem that we have now that we need to use the headers of the columns, which is basically the name of the vendors. If you go back to the previous step, you will see that I have a column containing the names of the vendors, which is basically the vendor column. In the final step, I'm going to edit once more in the formula bar. This time I'm going to add a comma to see if there is another requirement or another argument that we can use inside the Table.FromColumns. And here you go, you can provide the names of the columns inside a list. And this is exactly what we have in the previous step, in the grouped step, which is basically the vendor column. So I'm going to use once more the previous step, the grouped, and then open a square bracket, and I'm going to use this time the vendor column and hit the check mark, and here you go, I have the headers of the column correctly retrieved from the previous step. Let me just give a meaningful name to this step. Right click and rename. Let me call it rebuild table. Hit enter, and I'm ready to load. Close and load, close and load too. I'm going to use the same existing worksheet and the column F and click on OK, and here you go, you have your output. Now let me add the three new lines that we have, Control C and Control V, right click and refresh, and here you go, everything is updated correctly. I think it is very easy, I think much easier than you thought. If you double check the query that we have only 3 steps. First one is nothing but the source, and then the grouping, and finally rebuilding the table using Table.FromColumns. At the end of the video, a big thank you to everyone who sent me the solution over the past week. شهاب الصغير, Bhavya Gupta, Alejandro Simon, Amr Ali, Florin Mihai Kopacci, Jendara Bista, Anthony Sovi, Zvezdiana Agatex, Roy Wilson, Izzat Kiswani, Josh Excel, Haysam Tahan, Noki Oren, Jeff Sanaki, Yasser Sha'lan, and Mustafa El-Hawari. Thank you to everyone. If you like this video, please like it and share it, and leave me a comment, and see you in my next videos, and bye.